Welcome to Our Daily Chews, your go-to podcast for all things nutrition. I'm Lynn Clayton, a registered dietitian and your host. I help you sort fact from fiction with a research-based and common sense approach to nutrition science. Since November is Diabetes Awareness Month, I'm continuing with my tips on getting better diabetes control. Today, we're diving into a topic that might sound a little technical, but is so important to your diabetes management. We're talking about the infamous A1c, what it is, how it works, what it tells us, and most importantly, what you should do with the information once you've got it. By the end of this episode, you'll be able to look at your A1c and understand a whole lot more about your metabolic health. And in case you didn't already know, your metabolic health is super important. So, first things first, let's break down what A1c actually is. In the simplest terms, A1c is a blood test that measures your average blood sugar levels over the past 2 to 3 months. It's like a report card for your blood sugar, but instead of grades for your homework, it's giving you a grade on how well you've been managing your glucose or blood sugar. Think of it like the history teacher who doesn't just care about your last test score, but wants to know how you did over the entire semester. Your A1c doesn't give you a snapshot of one moment in time like testing your blood sugar at home with a finger prick does. It's more like a highlight reel that shows your glucose trends, giving you an overall picture of how your blood sugars have been behaving. A1c tell us? The A1c test measures how much glucose, also known as sugar, has attached to hemoglobin, the protein in your red blood cells that carries oxygen. These red blood cells live for about 3 months, so your A1c gives a long-term average of your blood glucose control. Here's the interesting part. The more glucose floating around in your bloodstream, the more it sticks to your red blood cells. Over time, if you have high blood sugar, the percentage of glucose attached to your hemoglobin will increase. So an A1c of, say, 6% means that 6% of your hemoglobin molecules are covered in sugar. On the other hand, if your blood sugar has been running high, you might see a number like 8 or 9%, which, to be honest, is way too much sugar coating for your hemoglobin, and it adversely affects the health of your cells, which is what we want to avoid. So, how can you check your A1c? Well, the A1c test is usually done in a lab or during a visit to your healthcare provider's office, and it doesn't require you to fast. This is one of the reasons why it's so convenient. It's not as tricky as having to fast for 12 hours and then get a finger stick test. And while it's easy to do, it's also super reliable. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is a good A1c? Well, the answer depends on the person. But in general, for most people with diabetes, an A1c of 7% or lower is the target. This means your average blood sugar is likely in the range of 154 milligrams per deciliter, or for those outside the US, that would be 8.3 millimoles per liter, or less. And that depends on your actual A1c percentage. So, for people without diabetes, the average A1c is 5.6% or less. And for people with prediabetes, meaning you're at risk for developing type 2 diabetes, the A1c will be between 5.7% and 6.4%. Anything above 8% indicates that your blood sugar levels have been higher than they should be. But here's the catch. Your healthcare provider will work with you to determine what your personal target should be, since it depends on factors like your age, how long you've had diabetes, and your overall health. Now, here's where knowing your A1c is super helpful. Your A1c gives you a number, but it's kind of like translating between two languages. That number is also tied to what we call an estimated average glucose, or EAG for short. Essentially, your EAG is the average of your blood glucose over the past 2 to 3 months, but it's expressed in a way that's a little easier to understand than just having a percentage number like an A1c. For example, an A1c of 6% corresponds to an EAG of about 126 milligrams per deciliter, or for those outside the US, that would be 7.0 millimoles per liter. An A1c of 7% is about 154 milligrams per deciliter, or 8.6 millimoles per liter. This EAG number is especially useful if you're used to thinking of your glucose levels in terms of milligrams per deciliter, because it puts everything in the same language, which is what you're used to seeing on your meter when you're doing fingerstick tests at home. To explore this conversion a little bit more, let's look at how to calculate your estimated average glucose. If you know your A1c, then multiply that number by 28.7 and then subtract 46.7 from that number. The answer will provide you with your estimated average glucose number over the past 2 to 3 months. So, if you find this information more meaningful and helpful than knowing your A1c percentage, just calculate your estimated average glucose each time you have your A1c checked. I also included a chart with ranges. You'll see that a normal average glucose should fall between 117 or equal to an A1c below 5.7%. An average blood glucose between 117 and 137 is equivalent to an A1c in the prediabetes range of 5.7 to 6.4%. And an average blood glucose of 140 milligrams per deciliter or higher is equal to an A1c of 6.5% or higher, or in the diabetes range. So remember, the higher the number, the more damage is being done inside your body. Now, there are certain circumstances where an A1c of 8% may be totally acceptable, but that's usually based on your age and other coexisting health issues and up to your doctor's discretion. But 7% or less is a good goal for most people with diabetes. So you've got your A1c number and you've translated that to your estimated average glucose. Now you're thinking, what do I do with this information? The short answer is take action. If your A1c is where it needs to be, congratulations. Keep doing what you're doing. But if your A1c is higher than you and your doctor would like, here are a few things you can do. First, look at your diet. It all starts with food. Focus on eating whole, minimally processed foods that help keep blood sugar stable. Choose high fiber carbs like vegetables, beans, and whole grains, and pair them with healthy fats and lean proteins to slow down glucose absorption and prevent spikes in your blood sugar. And hey, if you're a fan of sweets, don't panic. It's about balance. Enjoy those treats in moderation, and whenever possible, combine them with protein or healthy fat so your blood sugar doesn't go on a roller coaster ride. And secondly, exercise regularly. Exercise is one of your best friends when it comes to managing blood sugar. Aim for 30 minutes a day of something you enjoy, whether it's walking, swimming, cycling, or even dancing in your living room. Movement helps your body use insulin more efficiently, which helps bring those blood sugar levels down. And monitor your blood sugar. Keeping track of your blood sugar regularly is key to understanding how your body responds to food, exercise, and even stress. This can help you make adjustments to your routine before things get out of hand. And take your medications as prescribed. If your doctor has prescribed insulin or oral medications, make sure you're taking them as directed. Don't skip doses, and talk to your healthcare provider if you're noticing any side effects or if your blood sugar is running too high, meaning greater than 200, or too low, less than 70. And I understand if you aren't thrilled about taking medication or insulin to lower blood sugar. I get it. However, allowing excess sugar to accumulate in your bloodstream and cause damage throughout your whole body is not ideal either. So while you're working on cleaning up your diet and exercising or losing weight if you need to, make sure you're helping your body by taking your medication. And who knows, maybe one day when your metabolic health is improved, you won't need as much medication or insulin, or perhaps you can control it with diet and lifestyle without medication. But either way, keeping your blood sugar out of the danger zone is the goal. And manage your stress and get enough sleep. It's not all about diet and exercise. Stress and poor sleep can raise blood sugar levels too. Practicing relaxation techniques like meditation or deep breathing and making sure you're getting enough quality sleep, aiming for about 7 to 9 hours a night, can make a big difference. And work with your healthcare team. Finally, remember that managing diabetes is a team sport. Your doctor, dietitian, diabetes educator, and other members of your care team are there to help you figure out what works best for you. Don't be afraid to ask questions, share your challenges, and celebrate your wins. So, there you have it. Your A1c is a snapshot of your blood sugar control over time, and knowing your number is like having a cheat sheet for your health. If it's in a healthy range, keep doing what you're doing. If it's a little higher than you'd like, now you know exactly what steps to take to get it back on track. And if you need additional help, find a qualified dietitian or diabetes educator that can help you create a strategic game plan for controlling your A1c. Thanks for tuning in to Our Daily Chews. I hope you've learned a little something about your A1c, and remember, just like a healthy meal, managing diabetes is all about balance. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with a friend or family member who might find it helpful. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep chewing your way to better health. This podcast is sponsored by Clayton Nutrition, a private medical nutrition therapy practice offering telehealth services for those needing nutrition therapy to prevent, treat, or manage chronic health issues. Whether it's diabetes, cardiovascular concerns, food allergies, digestive issues, or weight management, we focus on good nutrition for better health. Check out my resources, blog articles, and one-to-one nutrition services at claytonnutrition.com. For additional support with managing diabetes, Clayton Nutrition offers an online course called Better Diabetes Control. This self-paced video course provides valuable information to help you get the best diabetes control possible. To learn more, go to claytonnutrition.com and look under Nutrition Services tab to sign up. If you prefer to work personally with a dietitian and diabetes educator, you can schedule an initial consultation with me by going to claytonnutrition.com and schedule now under Nutrition Services tab. I am licensed and able to provide medical nutrition therapy via telehealth to residents of North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, Iowa, Texas, Arizona, Colorado, California, Michigan, and New Jersey. It's easier than ever to get the diabetes support you need from the comfort of your own home. Don't wait. Diabetes is a progressive disease, and complications will arise if you keep putting off getting better diabetes control. This podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to replace the advice of your healthcare professional. I recommend you seek help from a trained professional who can work with you in your specific situation.